Hey, this is Rodolfo Martinez here again with Figure It Out Baseball, and I wanted to talk to you today about black burns. Black burns are a specific set of shoulder exercises that are meant to activate and strengthen your muscles in their end ranges of motion. Why is this important, you may ask? Short answer is that baseball happens at these end ranges of motion and you need to train them appropriately if you want to get better. When you throw a baseball, you crank your shoulder into as much external rotation into its end range that you can before you accelerate to come forward and release the ball. You need to be strong in these end positions, in these end ranges, not only to produce power, but also to keep your arm healthy and prevent injury. An important concept in arm care is the idea of being strong but controlled. One of the concepts that I touched upon in my last video, What is Arm Care, was the tendency for bigger muscles like your pecs and your lats to overpower your rotator cuff and other smaller stabilizers. Think of any movement you can do, sprinting, throwing, as a combination of co-contractions from different muscles and different muscle groups rather than an isolated contraction of a single muscle. So if we take sprinting, for example, your glutes are a primary mover. But it's not the only thing that's working, and it's not the only thing that's important. Same thing applies when you throw. You have these bigger muscles that are generating a lot of that movement, but you also have these smaller muscles like your rotator cuff working at the same time. Problem is, when these smaller stabilizers can't keep up, can't counteract, can't control the movement that these bigger, more powerful muscles are generating, you're getting motion at a joint, let's say the shoulder, for example. That's what I would call uncontrolled. Uncontrolled motion at a joint causes excess load on certain structures that maybe aren't built to withstand that kind of stress in the first place. And that's when injury develops, when you're wearing down these structures because of these faulty, uncontrolled movement patterns. So how can we build better movement patterns with strength in these end ranges? Black burns are a series of exercises, like I mentioned, primarily working the rotator cuff and scapular stabilizers. The emphasis here is going to be pushing all the way to the end range of motion, though, where you physically cannot move any further. Another important thing to note is that you're going to be holding this end position for a few seconds for each rep. So, like I mentioned, a couple of different positions. There are 6 in total. We're going to be doing each position for one set of 10 reps. And each rep, you're going to be doing a 6-second isometric hold. My recommendation is just to start with body weight, just the weight of your arm. After that, you can slowly bump up the resistance, 1 pound, 2 pound, and go all the way up to 5 pounds, and I wouldn't go any further than that. Emphasis here is going to be on form, though. If your form breaks down, we're not working the muscles that we want to work. Goal here is to build strength at those end ranges like we mentioned and really establish good scapular mechanics that will translate to when you're throwing as well. So all of these positions are going to be performed lying face down. You can do it on the floor, on the turf, or on a bench if you have one available. I'm going to coach you through these standing up, and then I'll show you how it looks like on the floor when it's all put together. You can do these 6 exercises in any order, but my favorite starting point is the Y. This is one of the most challenging of the 6, but it's also one of the most important because it gets your arm into an overhead position just like you usually are when you throw a baseball. So the Y, just like it implies, is keeping the arms straight and bringing them over your head at a 45-degree angle so that you're making a big capital letter Y with your body. Couple of coaching points here. I'm going to start at the head and then work my way down at the arm. Head should be retracted straight back that way, so just shifting the mass of your head straight back. Chin should be pointed down and tucked to your chest like you're giving yourself a double chin. Reason for this is that certain muscles in your neck attach to your scapula, to your shoulder blade in the back. And if we extend your head back into that position like is comfortable, then all of a sudden we can shift that scapula out of position from where it needs to be in an overhead motion where you're over shoulder height. Next coaching point is going to be your upper traps. So you want to let these guys relax so that you're not tugging up, hiking and shrugging up through your shoulders this way. Again, this is just to prevent the scapula from getting out of position where it needs to be so that it can move freely as you come over into this overhead position now. Next coaching point is going to be the arms. So keeping them nice and straight, like we mentioned. Even if you cheat just a little bit, it can really reduce the effectiveness of the exercise, and it won't work the muscles that we need to work with this. Last is going to be your hand position. So thumb should be pointed straight up. For me, it's pointed at the wall that's directly behind me here. If you're doing this on the floor, it should be pointed straight up at the sky or at the ceiling. Last thing that I want to mention right now is where you should be feeling this exercise. So for any exercise, you should be feeling it in the muscles that are actually working. For this, you should be feeling it in your shoulder blade, in your scapula, right in that mid-back region, because those are all the muscles that we're working. If you're feeling it in any other spot, you could be substituting and working different muscles from the ones that we really want to work. You should feel it here without really extending through the spine, bringing your chest up so that your chest is off the ground that way. But that's the first position. I'm going to demonstrate it for you guys so you can follow along. So the second exercise is going to be exactly the same. It's still the Y. The only difference is that you're rotating your shoulder so that your thumb is going to be pointing down straight at the ground. The rotator cuff is going to work harder in this position, but that thumbs down position of the shoulder may actually cause some discomfort in the shoulder for certain people. So if this exercise hurts, just skip it. So once again, I'm Rodolfo Martinez, and that was part 1 of the Blackburn series. Check out part 2 for the rest of these exercises.